Welcome.
Okay.
Well, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm Richard, and this is Estelle to anyone who's gonna, see her. um, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. My name is Joey. Um, yeah, this is the first time meeting you, so this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. Yeah, no, this is the third one of these like long chat sessions, and realistically, we're just talking about stuff, and yeah, no, I wanted a long form version of a like non SEO based chance to be able to talk to people.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, that's cool.
the other show I'm trying to learn about SEO, and apparently that's a lot about consistency. If you talk about 1,000 things, it's just it's really hard to market 1,000 things. Is the
I see. Oh,
Yeah,
you can't just pick one and then like make that your focus or something. I mean,
yeah. So that's what we're
say
doing.
that's what it would be about, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to have my co-host come up with the things they like. Like one of them's huge into D&D,
Oh yeah.
and so I want him to do segments with D&D and stuff. And I love tons of things, so I think I'll make a rotating segment. So mine can
Okay.
be the changing one, and my other co-host, loves cooking. So I think that.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and I'm a big fan of all those things. So I think that
Do you play D&D?
can you hear her chewing chips?
A little bit.
That's nice. Can you sit next to
Only
me?
when you only after you said it.
Do you want another pillow so you can be seen?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah, here. Sit on these. Stand up.
Oh, she's so cute.
Jump. Happy? Yeah. Not me and the her mom separated, and so I have an apartment across the street now, and so she lives like with her full time, and I work and pay all the bills more or less, and
Okay.
now I'm just now starting to get her like by myself, like as a solo person. You guys
Yeah.
staying here?
I want to try the milk week.
Okay, it's in the fridge. Go grab it. Dude, no, three is really cool, man. Like that, learning words, and not even learning words, but like learning more and more and more words. Like she hears a word and she immediately knows what it means to some degree.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
yeah, the cool thing to see is understanding concepts like cognitive awareness. You know what I mean? Like she just can, the same way you see a square and know what a square is.
Right.
Estelle, hey, get the milk back and get the chocolate milk on the top shelf. No, it's a bottle. Yep. See, top shelf. Okay, now close the fridge, please. But
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, it's just changes your whole worldview in a way, I'm sure.
yes. Do you plan to have kids or anything?
Yeah, I don't have kids now, but one day I plan on it. My girlfriend works with a lot, like with young children. She's a dance teacher, so she's always telling me all sorts of stories about them and all the stuff they say. It's just it can be a really rewarding experience working with kids like that.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I couldn't be. I mean, I like to think I'm a good caregiver in general. Like if I had to be, but to be honest, dealing with your kid is so much easier than someone else's.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're you in a way.
Yes.
So much more tangible. Like I other people's kids drive me insane,
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but no, it's so special when it's because you can feel yourself within her. See yourself uh, and qualities of yourself within her. I bet that's really cool.
Yeah, no, genetic that's where genetics get really weird, and like cognition gets really weird because so much more like I think like, and I'm not just me, obviously I'm not a leading person on this science, but there's a lot of like personality traits that end up coming through, you know what I mean, like almost
Yeah.
immediately, not just like almost I think to the degree of they do what they see, and so your hobbies they immediately take up, and she's animated like I am.
Mhm.
Like so much so like she'll drop something and she'll go whew, like you know what I mean, actually put her hand up. It's really funny.
That is funny. Is that something you feel like she learned from you?
I've never done the actual thing, but like I'm sure she saw it in the show, But
Yeah.
then she decided to carry out and like do it. And one of my favorite shows growing up was Scrubs. I don't know if you've ever
Mhm.
seen it.
Yeah.
And like the way they film that as if it's memories or whatever is it's just kind of the way I kind of see things and the way I formulate my pictures of my own things. And what about you? Like when it comes to how you see things mentally, do you have a like do you work on metacognition at all?
Not really. So I listened to part of your other podcast you did a couple weeks ago. You're talking about metacognition. You mentioned something about like a memory map or something. I looked that
Yeah.
up. That was really interesting. It's like, from what I understand, and you can tell me what I'm getting wrong here, but like it's like a virtual space that you create in your mind where you populate with memories, and then you navigate that space mentally, and then those memories resurface. And it's supposed to be like an organization technique. It's like really popular with people who are really good at memorizing stuff, like memory champions. That's like a whole thing.
Yeah, because it's like it's almost like the scientific structure for what we know about the memory. And
Really?
it's well, it's so loosely found too, because you end up reaching a point where can you come back in here, please? But you end up reaching a point where yeah, now I need to open it. That's why she'll come back. Shut the door, please. But it's loosely found. Like it's almost like facial monitoring and or deception. Like that's a science, like the understanding and correlation of the 44 muscles in your face that make up 10,000 expressions that you can look at and ascertain things without, like, and we have a very subconscious amount of that as people in general. Like you look at someone and you can get an innate, understanding that they're upset and
Mhm.
or frustrated, like, and you can't put it into words because you don't know how, but like it's
You
crazy.
just
Like,
know.
yeah, within a fifth of a second, there's these little twitches, and the tenth of a second, sometimes these little twitches that's your emotion. And it's crazy that your face is correlating to that emotion through like your buccinators, the thing that goes when you have a seizure, that when your lip falls, or you know what I mean, like those, it's your pursing muscle on both sides of your lip, and it kind of comes underneath a little bit, but it's called the buccinator, and it's one of the most important emotions, or one of the most important features of telling emotions when it comes to like a comedic contempt. Like if you get done with an instance and you purse one side of your lip out and smirk, like, you know what I mean? Like, and, and so there's so many types of little, like there's a whole correlation of emotions that have to do with just the buccinator. And so if you study
Right.
just the buccinator, you can learn what that part of the face tells you. And then the eyebrows are important for everything. The creases around the eyes are like true happiness. And when you smile, like if you look at a posed photo against your favorite photo of you, the differences will be how tight your eyes are,
Right.
like, and it's just it's really funny that on a real legitimate, and that's why I say it's not 100% science, like on a real legitimate 80% of the time, if you see it, you can correlate it to something. Because the problem is like there's outliers, you could have a genetic condition that, you know what I mean, people have, like you get Botox, you can't tell. If you're
Exactly.
a psychopath, you can't tell. And so it's like there's a few things that are in play that make the whole game harder to ascertain, but it's a science and people have careers about it, but it's hokey pokey to most people.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of that show Lie to Me with Tim Roth. You ever watch that?
Beautiful show. Watched it 47 times front to back. That
Yeah.
was my first understanding. Estelle, get the chocolate milk back up here. Yes. Drink it if you want to drink it. But no, I love that show, man. That was my first understanding of any of that. And I was like, oh my God, like this is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
this was the thing I was told doesn't exist by my father when I was a kid. Like, you can't look at me and know what I'm thinking. And it's exactly that.
It's exactly that. I know. It's fascinating. It's cool to see, especially since like there's something true to it. I mean, like you said, it's not always 100% like they show in the show, but it's like there is something there where, if you're not someone who's trained in facial recognition or something, you can't really fake some of that stuff. And just normal behaviors and things that you put ordinary people in, you can make all sorts of assertions about people just based on the way they act, which is
a
awesome.
fucking lot of them.
Yeah.
But then it's like 80% science. And so that's where the memory map comes in. It's no, you don't need to go in there. Shut it. It's just a closet. I know you want to see the stuff. She's super curious. She's like a cat. Nimble too. but I know you're right there. Don't sit on this table, please. But yeah, it's to touch me back up. I'm sorry. I looked at her and my short-term memory.
Oh, you're saying the memory map.
Yeah, no, I know
Ironically.
that the very last thing you just said, the
Oh.
lie to me show.
I was
yeah.
just saying how you can tell different things about people just by the way they act.
Yeah, I was gonna correlate the memory map in the same way that a hypnotist has to have you be willingly engaged.
Right.
If you're not willingly engaged, there's a door shut that's not tangible. We don't know what it is, and we can't tell you. Oh, well, this is why. This muscle can tightens in your brain and doesn't let It's like we don't know. We have no fucking idea. It's like talking about consciousness. We only know parts. Like we're like we think, but we don't know. And
no,
it's either
we're not even sure if it's easy or hard, right? We're not even sure if it's simple or if it's something else altogether.
Yeah, like our most complicated assertion could be utterly wrong, and it could be as simple as it's generated by us, and it's just nature's ability. And maybe all things have this, but there's levels, and then maybe they don't. Maybe it's so speculative. I love it. But yeah, memory maps, man. I've never met a person in the world speak about it except where I learned it from, and that was Sir Conan Arthur Doyle.
I see.
But yeah, no, in his elaboration of Sherlock Holmes, he understood what that was innately and put it into it being Sherlock Holmes. And that's kind of how I built my memory since I was a kid. I used flashbacks like JD and Scrubs. And then I used the idealism of Sherlock Holmes, to which your short-term memory takes in all things. You can't control that. Like if you understand how your memory works on a mundane level, there's two processes. There's the short term, which takes in all sounds, 5 senses, and you know what I mean, even your sixth sense, to which we can't describe. Even that's memorized in your memory. And you can remember things better. Just a side note, using mnemonic devices like the memory map is a super mnemonic device. All we're doing is, like, when I walk into my mind map, the first thing I see is penguins.
I see them
because they give me a chemical release of something that nothing else does. It's just oh my god, fucking penguins, and then boom, it's like my chemicals or my hormones, like I don't know what it is. Something changes to where 3 seconds before that I wasn't at this level of calm. It's like a instant drug, bang, boom, you know what I mean? And but
is that necessary for you to like access that? Is to like reach that state of calm, like a meditative state?
I don't know. It's what when I was doing research beyond the speculative, third person watching a show that had a guy in it that was based off a script, that was based off a book, that was based off a guy who wrote a book. Like outside of doing that, when I actually Googled memory maps, it gave me more insights and more keys and tricks. But yeah, the being like, so it's a map of a place that exists, but everything in the place doesn't exist. So the only thing that exists is the structure. And when I walk in, it's like that fucking stairway room in Harry Potter. Just fucking everything's, you know what I mean? And I don't control everything. Like, you don't act like, oh, I'm God, I walk in here and boom, a dream world. Like, it's not like that. But I do have the ability to remember whatever I want, whenever I want, like a button. And like, that was something that didn't exist before.
Right.
And so it's almost a giant amalgamation of a memory map, super, super, super metacognition, and then all my other senses wrapped into it too. So I have, penguins that get me, at least they make me feel calm. And then, so my memory map is actually a place you could go to, like, and look up. I was a mall rat when I was 15, and you know what I mean? And so I went to the Rockingham Mall in Salem, New Hampshire.
Okay, so it's like you're thinking of like a physical space then.
Yes, it's actual place. So like I open.
So you like the different.
I open the doors to the mall.
Yeah.
And that's when I walk in. And so like in my head, the first part of me going there is walking in there. Like I'm not there until I go there. It's
Gotcha.
Which is wicked hard to explain to somebody. Like
no, that makes sense. Because you're not always thinking about it.
Like? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you're not always there. You're not always thinking about it, But like, so my question is like, how do you know it's reliable, right? Like, how do you know you go into the same place?
Anecdotal You know what I mean? I like you
Well,
can't
yourself, right? I mean, you're not keeping track of this in some sort of spreadsheet, where you're like, okay,
but you
now I
could, and
have
that would
something.
aid you.
Yeah,
Because
obviously, but that would defeat the purpose of it, probably.
no, because that's how you learn it and advance it. So at super advanced. So first of all, metacognition is loosely brain training. Like that's the way to say it. And you can take that all the way from brain training to rub your temple, take 30 deep breaths, and have a fake effect, a placebo that actually works. That's the reason why fake medicines work, because our brain is insane. And if you tell someone they're taking a drug, they can actually exhibit the signs more serious than the dude really taking them through some, strung along amount of variables that we can't predict. It's like Steven did and Stacy did. Boom. But yeah, so like if you were to think of any memory right now, going through your senses in the memory aid the memory. And then if you want to take it a step further to remember something, like if you wanted to remember this moment, you take in visually as much as you can. Okay, colors, shapes, what things. Okay, square case, round head, square posters, and you build it. You know what I mean? Loosely drawn lines on a piece of paper in your head. Boom. Okay, there's the visual. And then what do I smell right now? And I smell my feet because I worked all day and I haven't showered. And I'm looking at this and I see the shapes, and now I'm going to lay the stink on the picture in my head. And you do that with all five senses, and then maybe draw that. And it's like, no, dude, there's that you've just created an envelope in your head. And so that's all the memory map is. The envelope is, I take a place, any place you want, and you close your eyes and visualize it. And they don't know what allows people's third eye to see things the way that ours do. And there's a lot of things that they call it. I'm calling it a third eye. But what I'm really talking about is the ability of my hippocampus, anterior cortex. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee and cough once. Jesus Christ. Killing me. Dry throat. Smoking a dab pen all day. Interior calcarine, hippocampus, and your occipital lobes. Those three parts, I've read so many studies, come together, and they believe all three of those parts hold a picture in the images you actually see in your brain. So like when I can overlay what I see in my brain on my eyes while I'm awake. About, you know what I mean? So you say right, but like telling someone that, I'm like, what the fuck do you mean?
No, I understand what you mean, because there's people have that. What's that? I don't know if that that's not a disease. It's like a condition where you can't picture things.
Yeah. It's like the monologue, anti-monologue. Some people don't have a monologue,
Yeah, the same thing. It's like some people can have the ability to like really visualize strongly, and other people just like have no idea what you're talking about. So I mean, it sounds like you have a very strong visual.
I can see things
ability.
Insanely. Like it's like, and out of all the research I've found, the only other person, not the only person, but the only other person who I remember at this moment who had the ability that I have to see things on like a level that is weird, because like I try to talk about it, but I can't prove to you it exists. That's why I hope this whole, what Joe Rogan wants, he wants Elon to finish Neuralink.
Yes.
And then he wants to be able to ascertain your level of truthness by looking at you. He doesn't, you know what I mean? Whether it's through a light, a green light, or whatever. I've listened to every Rogan episode. I fucking love the guy. But yeah, no, fucking. So if that happens, dude, I'm going to be a god. Like literally right now, I'm a kooky fucking little idiot. But if we can find a way to look at someone and know like 100%, this is your stat in this, boom, done. I'm going to be a master's degree of, metacognition, whereas I don't need to go to college. And like, I don't even, is that a degree? Like, I've never even looked that up. Like, can you?
I don't know. I mean, it's some sort of study, right? It's like behavioral science or something like that.
Everything, man. Cause like philosophy, psychology, I'll give you another one. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. You do it. Okay, you got it. Now I've got smartwatch bands right here that I got from my Apple Watch from eBay that had anime designs on them.
Yeah.
And fucking, I love them. But that's Attack on Titan. Not that you could see it. But yeah, no, she's taking the bubble wrap off and popping it. And then my bed is right behind my computer. And so when I look down, I'm looking at her, and she's commando crawling under my bed around the pylons. As long as she doesn't hit the extension cord strip, which I'm looking at, would show.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's crazy. Like I got into some legal trouble and I had to do a mental health exam, and I talked my way through the mental health exam by preaching Socratic behaviors and talking about like super existentialism.
So really? What is super existentialism?
Well, I just mean like being extra pompous with everything I answer. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess.
Yeah, I'll take those. You play with the bubble wrap. Like in the sense of if I get asked like, have you been through any trauma? Oh yeah, I had family problems to save words. I would respond in a way that, because I'm aware of like speech on a level that's not apparent to everyone. I'm aware of what I say, how I think it, how it's showing on my face, how I elicit what's on my face, how I change what I say a million lines later. You know what I mean? A lot goes into speech. She just turned on my face light. That's hilarious.
Where does that come from? Do you think that comes from practice, or is that some innate ability that you've like just developed more?
The whole understanding things was endless learning. I mean, I was a really bad addict as a teenager, and I used to buy 8 balls of Coke, and I would sit in my bathroom and read college books about psychology and behavioral science and sociology and I can never say it. It's not audiology or audio. I don't know the one about hearing.
Sure.
It's it's an ology with audio or something. I've
I
had the textbook in my hand. I've never been able to pronounce it. It says the guy with indefatigable tattooed on my neck, right?
What does that mean?
Whole definition: tirelessly persistent.
Tirelessly persistent.
Yeah, and so I got it to eradicate the stigma of being a professional businessman in the workplace with tattoos, and as a cue to never give up on being a musician.
Cool. What do you play?
I create music. I write. So
okay.
I'm like 12 years into writing music. I got a closet full of notebooks. I can, per syllable, per breath, per letter, write country, rock, rap, fucking metal. I screamo super easy. Rah, whole song right there. We're done. And I built like an equation for how to build songs. I didn't want
really?
I wanted to know how does Eminem make a song? And now I know. How does Lil Wayne make a song? How does everyone make a song? They all make the songs the same way. It's a staircase of mental building. And the point of lyricism is mastering the staircase. Because step 1 is understanding tempo. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I never went to music class, but that's really common. The fucking first day I learned that, my rap skill went up 40%. Because I was rapping without the 1 and 2 and 3. I was just learning flow by copying flow. Fake it till you make it. But yeah, there's you want some chocolate milk? But no, there's so many things that go into music. And so what I would do is I would write the name of a song, the tempo of the song, and or how many bars, how many syllables per bar. So like hot 16s is 16 syllables per bar, 16 bars typically per verse, 4 to 8 bars for intro and outro, and a 4-bar chorus, 5 with a bridge. And so it's like, okay, boom, those are all the song lists. And then now we have rhyme scheme. The whole rhyme scheme list breaks down to, stay in here, please. What do you need? Okay. I thought she was trying to go in the closet. But and then so I've learned how to build a song without having to put creativity into it. You know what I mean? I can
So what do you write about?
Mostly heartbreak and drug addiction, because I'm now sober and trying to not go through.
Talk about what you know, is that what you're saying?
Play the spaces you stand on.
Yeah.
What do you need? Where are you trying to go? I know, but where are you trying to go? Okay. Whatever. Just my whole place is kid-proof. It's a small apartment. Okay. Yeah, I'll open the door.
Okay.
Walk over here. Where are you going? You're going to take a nap? Okay. She's not going to take a nap. But yeah, no, the fridge and kitchen are past the area you can see her walk, and I can actually see that. So the only thing she is, no, we don't.
She's bringing her tube.
I just got that today. She loves
it. Looks fun.
Okay.
So do you have plans to like produce all those songs?
Yeah, it was to get to this point in my life, hands on the wheel. I'm glad it fit. Yeah, I built my own computer last year, and so that was step 1. And let me move the fan for you real quick. 1 second. Stay there.
Dad, I'm a baby.
What are you doing?
I got it ready there.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah. I just wanted to get to
Hi, Stel.
this. Say hi. say hi, Joey. But yeah, no, I just wanted to get to this point of being able to like have like an equanimity, like an equalizing emotional, mental, spiritual, like overall my whole entire life has reached calm. Like I've plateaued, I've been up, I've climaxed, I've been down, and now I'm in the middle of the plateau. Leave that there, please. And so like that's where I really needed to be, and that's where I'm at now. Like I can work on. So like to preface that, no, don't touch the mouse, please. I saw a mouse moving. I was like, I'm not even touching it. It's like, yeah.
More than one person in your chair.
Yeah, freaking me out. That's how comfortable I am.
Minnie Mouse?
We can watch Minnie Mouse later. Can you play a game?
No.
Okay. But yeah, it's so when I write music, it's like almost devastating emotionally because like I'm digging a hole of things I've been through.
Right.
You know, and having the ability to see them mentally as I dig through the holes, like that's the guy who complains about having superpowers. God, it sucks to be so fast. You know what I mean? This sucks.
Yep.
I have to do everyone's chores all the time. You know what I mean? It's like that's how I feel. I'm whining about having, and so Einstein had some really good pictures. Not to go on a tangent, and they believe that he had extra neurons maybe in his brain. Maybe that's even the wrong word. But extra something that allowed him to see things at a greater level. And so I don't know where I stack rank against him. I'm surely not trying to sound prophetic, but I just in the sense of like mental images, it's crazy that no one talks about it. Like in school, they didn't teach us about our mind or like how to use, like, and even in college, unless like that's not a something that's taught without being asked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. I remember like the first time, like I had a philosophy class in high school. That was the first few days were just so incredible because he was talking about all these different like methods people had discovered of thinking about thinking and talking about how different philosophers had dealt with this problem of like, you know, what's in our head and how does it work? Like the whole thing with like our senses are just are lying to us, right? We're not actually seeing what the world is really like. What we're seeing is what our brain is creating for us. And so
Exactly.
we have like an idea of how things are, and it, like the world we use is very useful. The way we understand it is very useful, but it's not necessarily how things actually are. There was this really cool TED talk I watched a while ago. I'll have to find the guy who made it, but it's basically he was talking about how reality is like our desktop, and we can't see the actual code. But you wouldn't actually want to interact with reality from the code level. It's just not useful to us. But if you actually want to get deeper into like how quantum mechanics works or how gravity works or how physics breaks down at these like fundamental levels, what we have to get to is the source code, not this desktop. Sort of zooming in further and further into like what we have now only shows us like the pixels on the screen. It gives us a clue maybe that what we're looking at isn't real, but it's not giving us the full picture. The whole dimensions of possibility out there that we're possibly not accessing. That we're stuck on our 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional plane.
We're in a file cabinet drawer, and we're just something someone made. Like,
hey, well, I mean, yeah, we could just be a simulation, but even that's like a different problem. You know, it's like, okay, well, does that even mean that what we're experiencing is a accurate demonstration of what the universe is really like, or is it somebody's twisted idea of what, like, whoa, let's put them in this space and see what they can do with it, you know, as Flatland. You're like, are you really like, you know, if you're a 4th-dimensional spatial dimensional being, can you what would it be like to put people in a 3-dimensional space and see how they have to interact, how they have to move around?
Don't play with the phone. Okay, I'll put it on. Give me a second. Give me 2 seconds. She had my home phone. She was calling people. I was like, "You're killing me, man." Here.
No, Hoffman. Yeah, not this one.
Let me know if you need anything. All right. Hate to so rudely cut you off there. I never have to do that. It's such a weird thing, even for me.
It's all right. I totally get it, man.
Yeah.
The name of the TED Talk, by the way, is "Do We See Reality as It Is" by Donald Hoffman. If you want to look it up.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely have to check that out. That's what's so crazy though, is like I feel like when it comes to, scratching the surface of understanding yourself, like that's when you understand other people. Like I really understand other people. Like that's how I'm gonna be a good musician. That's why I think I'm a good musician,
Right.
In itself, just there's so many like chords in life that are so ordained, and they're only ordained in our country, and then in a different country they're a different way, and in a different mindset they're a different way. And like with what you were saying about like, is this real or not? The whole here, come take your chocolate milk. But it's the, I feel like like with what you were saying about, I had it phrased perfectly, but the way that you see life through your eyes, I feel like it's very heavily pertinent to
who you are.
Yes, who you are, and the words I'm trying to spit out. I had a sentence like so crafted so well, and she asked me for a drink, and it was like shatter, boom. Check this out. The conception that we have, I feel like, is based off what you know, and if you're not digging deeper, you're not working with all the information, and so it's so much harder. You know what I mean? And that's such a terrible way to relay what I'm trying to say, but like I
mean. I feel like that's something that we try to do with our podcast too. We we watch movies every week, and we talk about what it's like, and what they work with, what works, what doesn't work. But I think we also try to get to like a deeper thing about what the movie's trying to tell us, and like what the message of this piece of media really is. And I think a lot of that comes from knowing the context in which it's placed. It's not just in your own head, oh, you like this or you didn't like this. It also is it's often dealing with ideas that are centuries old, and bringing that to the forefront in a kind of a new way, showing stuff that taking old ideas, making them new, or coming with new ideas altogether, and then having people grapple with them. And I feel like that's really what we try to do, but something that I really like to do with media. It makes you really engage with it deeper. And it's like what you just said. If you don't understand that the larger context to which it's in, if you don't do some more research and find out what's more there, you're not getting the full value out of that. You're not coming at it with like a more nuanced perspective. You're coming out with just your perspective. I feel like that's only as valuable. It's only going to get you so far. It's not going to get you everywhere. It's only going to get you to the point where you feel like you're interesting to yourself. But the trick is try to be interesting for other people and try to bridge that gap.
Yeah, and so I remembered what I was trying to say, the way I was trying to say it. So talking about like simulation theory, I feel like that's a really good one, a really good subject in itself, or at least one of them to bring up so like the metaphor I always use for cognition is like a man in a boat in your head steering a ship. You know what I mean? And so this man in a boat in there steering a ship. And if you don't ever think about him, he's going to be in there steering a ship. But if you think about him, I'm not going to say you can change things, but like you're aware of the man steering the ship, being aware of something that exists where like you don't have to be aware of gravity to be a master at understanding its abilities. But being aware of it may give you an advantage. That's a poor example because I don't think knowing gravity, knowing it intimately would help you. It's, unless knowing that the higher you get, the more the pull would be, that would fit those shoes. But nonetheless, like to me, if you believe the world's a simulation, you're probably not steering that boat in the way like you think you're going to get 80 years. You know what I mean? Like you just think that the whole world is for you. You know what I mean? Like I have like a 5% voice in my head that I've turned down to that amount, where I'll hear someone talking and I'll look and like you see them look at you and then they laugh. And it's like, there's a 99% probability that they were not talking about you and they were not laughing. And if anything, they laugh just to fuck with you because that people are social animals and that's the thing we do.
Yeah.
And so I've turned that down to so low. Like I'm behaviorally aware, situationally aware of everyone. So like if I see you do that it's cataloged as that, but no further thought is spent on it. Like it's 95% chance you weren't talking about, 5% chance you were. If it correlates beyond a pattern, and a pattern emerges once as an anomaly, twice a pattern's beginning to emerge, 3 times it's not an anomaly, 4 times, like, you know what I mean? Fool me once, haha, like.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, but if, like, I believe both. So, like, the guy in my boat, he's steering based on the presumption that, like, he's steering on the agnostic presumption. If not, like, I'm quid pro quo. Am I going to gain something by being on your team? Because I'll think about taking my shirt off and playing basketball. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's so. And I feel like that matters. Like, to me, I'd rather know the bad, know the good, choose my decision. Like, I even accept that, like, I really like bad drugs, like hard drugs. Love them. They're awesome. Like, mentally, I even understand what they do now. And on a scientific level, chemically, I understand what they do. And so I'm not ashamed for liking them. Like, their job chemically was to like them. If the drug didn't do a good job, it wouldn't kill massive amounts of people.
Exactly.
Like, it's like a staircase bringing you up to a second floor. You never get up top of a staircase.
So you release yourself from that guilt, right? It's like, why is this here? Like, why am I like this? It's like, well, it's like this for everyone. It's designed to be this way. And then, I think that's really powerful. And that's a great way to look at things, I think, because ultimately you can't change the way you react to something, but you can change the way that you, like, observe and, like, reflect on it and what it does for you. If something happens, it's going to make you angry. There's nothing you can do to stop yourself from just being angry, but it depends. But you might,
and even that, though, like, that's,
you might just be able to stop, like, yourself from doing something stupid, though. You'll be like, okay, well, this is, I understand the situation. There's more nuanced than this, and actually my anger here isn't really warranted. It's not going to get me anything, and I feel angry, and that is not nothing, but it's not as useful in this moment.
Yeah, no, that philosophical understanding of self is important. And I feel like a lot of people have a trigger, and maybe the non-monologue ones fit that, and they don't have a choice. Like, you know what I mean? They've never been aware of the man in the boat, and they're steering based on a completely non-presumptuous manner. Like, just who the fuck knows what life is? Go. You know what I mean? And, like, that's fine, but you're not playing with all the sticks in the game. And so I don't know. I find it amazing that, to some people's psychology and philosophy and all the studies that I think intertwined a little bit are so boring. Like, I've run into like, I don't bring up philosophy at the bar anymore. Just the big quick sentences I can get out that sound cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll strap together normally a 35-minute talk with someone into 3 lines, and I'll place them elegantly. You know what I mean? Like, because I still want to fucking talk about it. I don't want to hear you tell me to shut up. But
yeah, well, you have to meet people where they are, because a lot of people aren't prepared to deal with those kind of questions just off the bat. I feel like you have to lead people down that road, and occasionally you can get there, right? And it's always surprising to me how easy it can be at times, when you're like, oh, I'm actually curious about this thing, but, like, I need to know more about this and this and this, and that, like, that establishing that trust with that other person, and then building up to that point, I think is it's a skill to be developed. And, like, because I think you can reach a point where you can ask somebody anything. It's just about a matter of tact. Like, how good are you at talking, and how good are you at understanding other people?
No, for sure. Like, that's, connotation is everything. You know what I mean? And I try to tell people all the time, like, dude, write it down. They always bust my balls. Like, do you think I'm so stupid that if I don't write it down, I'll forget? And they respond this blasphemous way, and I'm like, no, bro, I'm just trying to tell you that, like, as a scientist, it helps. It's like, scientifically, I could 2 + 2 is 4 your ass all day on why this matters. And if you're struggling in this area, doing it isn't the deficit. Not doing it is the deficit that you're being ignorant to by being ignorant. Like, it's
yeah, but you can't say that exactly. You have to be nice about it.
Like, sometimes, like, I don't believe you should be hateful.
Yeah.
But to the degree that there's a deficit larger than the encumbrance you'll receive from my statement, I'll say it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The same way that, like, Joe Rogan's like, don't slut shame if you like to fuck. Boom. Like, and he said it in much politer ways, but still, like, that's the thing. Stop wanting people to dress skimpy and then whining about them cheating on you. Like, that's my word's not his, but, like, that, it's a big paradigm. And then you hit the other side of it, where it's like, You know what I mean? If you're outrageously fat and you attack people all the time for what they look like, it's like it and now you're gonna put your hands up when I call you fat, really? Like, you know what I mean? You can call me anything in the world, but I call you the one thing that you're aware of. Like, I love those black jokes in comedy where, like, you know, someone will tell someone something that is forwardly presumptuous about something that's already known. Like, what do you don't think he knows he's black? You know what I mean? That's like those are so funny because, like, to be insulted by that would be like, you know, being mad at the color of your car for being the color of your car. You know, it's so funny. I think that's trivial though, and it's hilarious. Like, I'm not racist at all, but I'm not aware of race. Like, you know what I mean? It's a difference, and there's even bigger differences than that outside of like the hair texture. Like, people have, you know, different levels of melanin in their skin. I think I said that word correctly, and that's what dictates pigment. You know what I mean? And like that's that. And, you know, I don't know why this is so.
Well, race is also a social structure too, because because of like the history behind it. It's been there is differences between, you know, just culture and differences in the way that, you know, the opportunities are available to people. Whether like or not, like the biological differences are negligible. We've shown that over and over again. The differences between like white people is more significant than differences between white and black people, but it's still like, but people believe these lies have been perpetuated throughout history, and that creates them, that makes them true in a way because people act like they're true. It's the crazy thing about human nature and like large psychology is that perpetual motion actually exists
Oh yeah, like
in like human psychology. When if you start saying something is true, people just start believing it is true, and eventually it becomes true. It
yeah,
becomes the thing, like it becomes the thing that is actually happening, no matter how insane it is. It's amazing, just the way that like we work as a collection, as like a group of individual neurons in a big collective. You know, there's all sorts of crazy stuff that we can accomplish, but I feel like we've kind of largely squandered that opportunity, and until I mean, even now, I think.
no, yeah, no, entirely, you know, and that's predicated upon so much too. Like, yes, we're squandering it if we are missing a potential. And as a person with a mind map, I say everyone's missing a potential. I'm missing potential because I could have started this 3 years ago and been further than I am now. And like
Yeah.
the accumulation, and to touch on the thing you said, like, yeah, the accumulation of, you know, confirmation bias is such a thing. Like, you know what I mean? We live in such a crazy world. Some people just believe spoken word, and it's like that. Whew, I believe nothing I hear and half of what I see, bro. Understand the equation. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes shit in your brain is wrong, and you're seeing things that don't exist. There's diseases, there's patterns. Sometimes you just hit really fucking hard. CTE is
Yeah.
a problem. Monday, he was fine. Tuesday, he grabbed your son and ran out of a sliding door, hopped the fence in the rain with a kid in the diaper, and stole your baby. That was his baby. And I'm talking about that UFC fighter from freaking CTE damage. But like, yeah, no, 1 minute you're fine. The next minute, too many hits to the head. Slowly, you just wake up one day and there's pressure on in a spot that, you know, affects judgment and motor skills. It's crazy to think that like a small pocket of pus can make you go insane, kill your whole family and yourself. But it's
Sure.
like it's
Yeah.
small amount of pressure, bro. You
That's
know?
the thing is like, and part of the reason why I guess like I kind of I'm not push back, but like I'm hesitant about metacognition as a science is because your body is like plays such a big role in like your thought process. You know, your brain is your second gut. Sorry, that's the other way around. Your gut is your second brain. Your the way that you feel and the way that you react and the way that you think is influenced by your environment in such a profound way. It's not just, you know, things happening up here. It's the whole thing. It's a whole picture. And for that reason, like it's sometimes hard for me to believe that people actually know why they do the things they do, because sometimes you come up with reasons after the fact for the things you've done. It's insane. You ever see that show Minefield on YouTube with Michael Stevens, Vsauce?
It sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
The
Well,
guy who did Vsauce.
Before you tell me about that, 2
Go ahead.
seconds. It's been quiet for so long. I want to make sure she doesn't have a Sharpie.
Yep.
Good girl. You want your chips? But
So yeah, there's this show on YouTube made by the guy who makes that channel Vsauce. His name is Michael Stevens. They gave him, like, I guess it's been like 5 years ago, YouTube gave him like a TV budget and told him he could do whatever he wanted. And he made this show about psychology called Mindfield, and he did a bunch of these crazy experiments on normal people to see how they would react. And it was incredible. It's some of the most powerful stuff I've ever seen. If you're going to watch one episode, you got to watch the trolley problem episode. That one's amazing. He replicates the trolley problem in real life. Something
beautiful.
that amazing stuff. It's incredible watching these people react. It's it really touches your heart.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a thought experiment out there I haven't heard. Like I've all of YouTube, all like on third-party video apps. Like
you got to watch this, man. It's amazing. It's the best thing ever. It's one of the best things I've ever seen as far as that goes. And he does all of those. All of the episodes deal with stuff like this. And one of them, he actually has this magician who hands people a series of cards with faces on them, and the person who he hands it to is supposed to tell them whether they would like to work with the person in the picture or not. So they say, okay, this is this is a woman. How do you feel about her? Do you feel like you could work with her? And just based on their picture, the person gives like a gut reaction, yes or no. Then the magician shuffles in people that they rejected into the pile and then plays it again and says, you picked this person. Why did you pick them? And the people come up with reasons, even though they didn't pick him. And the thing is, like, you don't know. It proves you don't know why you do the things you do. You think know. You think you have an idea of like what like the processes that go from one area to another, but the truth is like you could just be making it up and you wouldn't know because your brain doesn't think that way. It doesn't think in cause and effect.
See, no, you're right. But another thing is like, mentally, birds of a feather flock together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really shitty. That's a good thing for talking about crime, but it's not that good for what I'm trying to talk about. But loosely, that's what I mean. Like, if you can have, you know what I mean? And so like one of the recent Joe Rogan episodes, the best way I have to explain this has now been updated since this a mind parasite. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that's one of the freaking guy on a recent Rogan episode. Listen to it, man. It's fucking genius. He's saying like you have a mental immune system. And a mind parasite is an unhealthy belief, behavior, ideal, whatever. And you can scrap it. Like, you know what I mean? You are not your ideas. You are not your beliefs. In fact, you control those. You know what I mean? And that's what's crazy, though, is like that's where metacognition to me is like an 80% science. Because if you're not willing to admit you could be 1,000% better than you are, then you're not going to be. Because like I beat myself. I'm more mean to myself than anyone else I encounter in my day ever. That's why I get shit done. Mentally, it's like, oh, you haven't done, like, I will walk past a piece of trash, yell at myself 47 times per step, and then turn around and retreat 47 steps to pick up the piece of trash, shaking my head the whole time. Fucking Richard, man. You could have just picked it up when you saw it. Nope. You know what I mean? Because, like, I dictate personalities. You want to talk about psychosis?
Mm-hmm.
So I think about who do I need to be? Like an actor. Who do I need to be? What's my name? What's my skills? What's my proficiency? And then I make that a card in a deck of cards, literally, and they're in my head. And so I just think I have 300 cards in my head. And when I need to not swear around someone, I flip on the light switch. And when that's active, I'm like to subconscious things are all cards that exist. Like the processes in my brain that just programs open on a desktop. And if I don't think about blinking, breathing, or my heartbeat, they do the thing. But if I think about blinking, breathing on my heartbeat, I can hear my heartbeat, stop my automatic blinking, and stop my breathing from happening. And it's like, well, that's the definitive. That's the way I prove metacognition. Because I'm like, you want to know that you can be better? This is the simplest way to prove, and the most complicated thing. Like I'm 10 years into working on my psychosis, and I call it that because honestly, in a world of people who, for lack of a better term, are sheep, it's like I can't talk my game. You know what I mean? Like, that's the same reason why when I go to get a mental health exam, I can't really tell you who I am. You will literally lock me away because I'm smarter than you and you don't live how I live. I don't, you know what I mean? Like your degree.
Yeah. Well, there's different types of intelligence, and different types of intelligence are valued more than others. Which is kind of shitty because some people are geniuses at certain things, and we don't put them in their niche and make the most use out of them. Instead, we just tell them that they're wrong, which sucks.
Yeah, intelligence.
That's a Einstein quote, right? If you tell a fish to climb a tree, he'll think he's stupid his whole life.
Yeah, no, I preach that all the time. I love that. It's a great platitude.
But like to go back to what you were just saying, like, yeah, I think there's a lot of potential that people are missing out on stuff like metacognition because like nobody's practicing it the way, and like you said, we're not teaching it, right? It's so nobody's practicing it at all. So there's a lot of room we could do there. Just looking at that brief Wikipedia article I read about it, like you said, like there's an 8.8% like improvement on people just practicing it for a little bit in memory. Like that's incredible. Imagine just being able to think your way toward like filing yourself away better. And it's just like a good practice in general to think more deeply about the things you do, but also just like to be organized, right? Like, if you start thinking about yourself, about your life, and like the way that you organize your whole house or apartment or whatever, in the same way you think about organizing your mind, you'll end up like so much better off because things will be where you expect them to be, and you'll know where to go.
No, that you couldn't be more right. And it's crazy because it's like it's not easy. Like outside of easiness, the tools have to exist too. Like I don't know how you see things. When I see things, they're so vivid. Like I feel like I could pop the pimple on my images. You know what I mean? Like it's super there, and so like irritatingly so. And it's like I'm aware of every double-edged sword. You know, they call it the crutch of being a genius. You know, because you're on a high level, you need something to step down. You know what I mean? It's like that's a platitude for understanding that incurring a debt is merely receiving a reward, because there's nothing you have in life that doesn't have a deficit behind it.
It's very Taoist of you.
I nihilism right down the road. But no, there's so many types of life, and like I literally feel like I'm a psychotic person compared to the average dude. And maybe I'd be an amazing actor. I think that all the time because like I can just separate. You know, I at one time did hard drugs, sold them, and lived in a Section 8 project where like 15 grand was rich people a year. You know what I mean? Like, and I flourished. I thought, I love it there. I named my cockroaches. You know what I mean? Like and I'll never go back. It's anime posters and fucking Bentleys, hopefully in 10 years. Like I don't want to go back, but being poor and broke and homeless were the best things that ever happened to me. Like 100% from the perspective earned. Like you cannot, I couldn't instill, my question I ask every day is how do I instill the pragmaticism and intellectual property I own and being able to walk through this world to my daughter without her getting a deficit? Because like double-edged sword, everything, remember, you want to have the keys to the kingdom. Well, you got to have a big enough hand to hold the key ring. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that comes with a debt, and that comes with a debt, and everything, for the want of a nail, you need an oar, and for the want of an oar, you need a miner. For the, what I mean? There's an old Chinese proverb that they say in fucking Tokyo Drift: for the want of a nail, for the want of a horse, for the want of whatever. I was like, that's brilliant, but it's like A for B, deficit, A for B, and
down the line.
Psychologically, philosophically, just literally, how do I give the gift of having the perspective? Like I like living in nice places, but I've had no place. So a nice place for me is a much lower bar than the average person.
Sure.
And I've also met rich people, and I've lived with rich people. And, I feel like I'm richer in intellect than some people are in money. And that can't be bought with money. So it's like, if you can chalk your confidence up enough to believe that, you're better off being 50K a year and aware of everything than to have $1 billion and then try to be aware of everything. Because very fast you're gonna be like, oh, well, like I'm trying to learn, a black diamond, and I haven't even been down a bunny hill. Like that's another problem. Some people incur a deficit by doing something they need to do, but they start halfway up a staircase. You've never in your life started a staircase halfway up, ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, always starts at the bottom.
You can do that in life, like just because it's just.
Daddy, I got face open. Do we hear?
Wow, you're tall. What do you want?
I want Apple.
I don't have any ice pops.
How about ice cream?
Okay, go eat some chips, and I'll give you an ice cream in a minute. Can you shut the freezer, please? She's tall enough to open the freezer now. It's insane. Flat-footed. She's closing the freezer. 39 months old. But it's so hard, man, because like the whole lead a horse to water thing is just, it's the biggest kick in the butt. Like that, I'm gonna have that tattooed on me someday. You can lead a horse to water. Just that. You know what I mean? Because I don't need the rest of it. Just know that's it.
Yeah, that's all you need. It's a memory palace. Like,
yeah, dude, it's so hard, and that's the other thing that's crazy. Like in my memory map, walls shaky. There's a wall there,
Yeah.
I don't know. I might make it something fancy. Like if I, you know what I mean? Like it's lavish. You control every part of it. So like there's times I dictate environment and the times I don't, I'm dictating memory. Like when I walk in there, the only thing I see is doors, penguins. I walk down the row on the second floor of the Rockingham, Salem, New Hampshire Mall, turn left into what was Bertucci's, and that's all my filing cabinets in one big chair. And I just sit in the chair and I literally will physically act like I'm opening a notebook and writing, like literally while my eyes are closed and thinking. And so I map, you know, hands and senses and breathing and smells, and I actually get my heart beating while I'm sitting still, which is little. I think meditation works better when your heart's not super calm. Like I think you should have a little, you know, do 10 push-ups and then sit for 20 minutes, you know what I mean? And then do 10 more push-ups. I don't know. I think I get a better crank.
Yeah,
like,
well, it's engaging your whole body, right? It's waking everything up. I think that's definitely true. I mean, so yeah, I'm really curious about like your memory map. So you say it's in one specific store, or is like every store?
It's the mall.
So is there like you said there like you walk down the hallway and there's like doors, or so is every door a different room that has filing cabinets in it, or is it just this one door?
Super, like it's. Let me see what she's doing because I hear noises. 1 second. Okay, just deconstructing the foam mat we built earlier. After this show, I've now learned that I'll have another camera and I'm gonna wire it into the PC so I can just
Perfect.
look
So
right
you can
there.
watch it from there. Yeah.
Well, bada bing. This isn't something I do all day long. It's not usually an issue. But as I try to podcast more, I guess I got to be more professional at it, you know. But
being a good dad, I think so. Give him eyes.
Yeah, no, and that does go first. But yeah.
Did you get ice cream?
We'll get ice cream. Just play for a little while. When I'm done with this, we'll go to the store and get you some ice pops, okay?
Puppy is in my door.
Okay.
Okay, where's my lollipop?
Your lollipop's on the microwave. Here, come here. 1 second. Come get your stool. Here you go. It's on the microwave. Please sit down while you eat it. I don't want.
Wait.
Yeah, you stub your toe.
No, I'm no.
I think she cut herself. Give me 2 seconds. You okay?
Yeah,
Oh no, okay. No, it's what I thought. She stubbed her toe. I stub my toe on my computer like twice a day. It's terrible.
Jeez. It sucks.
No, on the microwave, not in the stove. No, the red one. Over here. The microwave. Come here. I'll get her the lollipop. Give me a second.
Okay.
Come here. Right here. Go sit down. Thank you. Oh. It's so funny. 3 or 30 or 300 stubbing a toe is terrible.
No, it's the worst feeling in the world. It's so frustrating too. It's like, why does this hurt so bad?
So yeah, no, I focus on utility when I use it. So like I said, there's been times when I've went into it to try to not murder everyone in the gas station I was standing in, like close my eyes in line, like I'm in peak stress, and just walked in there and sat down and made the walls look like pepperoni pizza because I was bored. And like I'm just trying to use as much neurological power, like a CPU, as I possibly can to not be thinking about the BS in my life. And so I've used it to meditate. And when I do that, I still go into Bertucci's. Like that, honestly, like I've only ever used it like 4 ways, which is really funny. And I come up with new ones all the time. But using them as a manner of like, you know, just when I go into it, because I go into it multiple times a day, it's always been the same thing, except for like 3 other times it's been different. Like there was every time I walk in the same door, I see the same penguins, and the doors are the real doors, except instead of 2 sets, there's 1 set. And where the penguins are is where the cart, like where you rented your carts for the place were, and then walk right to Bertucci's, first left, boom. No signs, no chairs. Like I said, the walls, most of the time when it's from memory, aren't there. Like they exist and I'm walking around them as if they were, but I don't really see walls. I see the chair, I see the filing cabinet, and you know what I mean? And I see the folder, and like then everything I put from there is in the folder, and like that's how I remember it. And then I've been in before, and I don't know what state of mind I was in, but it was certainly a crazy one. But I walked in the normal door, saw the normal penguins, but didn't go into Bertucci's, and the whole food court of the mall. I was trying to think about thoughts, and in the sense of filtering them, we can't choose where they come from, but I can make a garbage collector. Like a thought comes in that I'm not happy about, I can find a way to grind it up before I start getting worked up over it. And so
Right.
it's like 3 deep breaths and I push it to that part of my mind. And then
Because you're like insulated from the rest of the world when you're in there.
yeah, and I even mean that like when I'm not in there, I've made features that exist in there that act while I'm living. Like my mind map has altered my reality. When I'm not in it, I'm different because of having it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
by that, that's what I mean. Like if a random thought comes in, like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have said that. Gosh, that's mortifying. 3 deep breaths, and I mentally put it in this, garbage disposal, for lack of a better word. But everything that I want to remember, I'm kind of stuck on it being like just this representation of a Jimmy Neutron brain that was like the spinning symbol in between. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
And so the cafeteria is that for me. Like that's the one time I went in there and saw that. Ever since then, that's where my thoughts are. All my thoughts in my whole brain. It's just a giant brain with shit spinning around it, and I don't control any of the thoughts that come into it. But I mentally make that a spot. That's the cognition of all thoughts that I have.
Right.
For lack of a better word, it's not consciousness. It's not, I haven't separated what it is and isn't. It's just an amalgamation of things. And that's where thoughts come. Boom. Like Buddha believes that, or a version of Buddhism practice is like, they believe that you have your consciousness, and then at the very top, there's a pool of all consciousness. And then that drips down mitigatedly so to the pool of consciousness that then is pulled to the thoughts that just drop into you. And then that is pulled from all people, and you know what I mean, and mitigated down to what you can actually do with it. Because sometimes you get a thought and it comes in perfectly clear, like in a dream, and then you wake up and the dream's gone and the thought's gone. And it's like, so some of the things that drip down, they're so mitigated, they run out of your brain before you even have a chance to think about it, and like they just believe it's this tier down thing where all consciousness is in a way connected, mine to yours, and you know what I mean, we're consciousness brothers as far as like a Buddhism practice. But it's just interesting the way that it works. Like I never refer to us as this, but we're Western, right? Like if we're gonna say Western medicine, that's us.
Sure.
We are like the.
Yeah, I would say so, I guess.
Okay.
Like Western civilization, I guess.
Yeah. No, I never refer to America that way, but you know what I mean? In the sense of talking about philosophies and how you do that, Eastern, or for lack of a better term or phrase, the rest of the world is pretty open into like, a Doctor Strange level of mental judo. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But America's not. Like we're like super not. Like that's why I love getting.
Yeah, well, we're very materialistic, because we live in a capitalist society. We're everything's about how much you can get. It's only like I guess millennials and Gen Zs that started caring more about experiences than they did about actual like physical things. And maybe that's just because a lot of our stuff is digital. I don't know if that's something else or altogether, but like we just live in a very materialistic society. We value other materials. We see worth in material. We judge other people by what they have and what they don't have. That's how we categorize each other. So it's just super important from that perspective. But it cuts us off from, a deeper understanding of each other or ourselves because we're looking at this external stuff.
Yeah, and so I separate my head kind of like I do my reminders list. So I have my reminders list right here on my phone that goes, to buy / to do, extra wants, podcast, new words I've heard, things for my house, things to buy, food recipes, hunting, and then me, and rap, and I've always separated it that way. So my hobbies get a list. From gaming's a hobby, gets a list. What do I need for gaming? What do I want? What do I have the money for? What am I saving for? Boom, that list is done. File cabinet gone. And it's like I have that for everything. Like that's where I find my peace. I don't find my peace through ignorance. I only find solace through endless thought. Like once I've completed the thought, I've thought about how you would do something. I've thought about how she would do something, how they would do something, how a non-binary person would do something. And then I think about what I would do, all the situations and the way it would change. And I kind of run it back and forth like I'm doing a football scrimmage forever. And then I'm comfortable. It's like, okay, I know where my house is at. I know every item I could possibly need. And if I remember a new one, boom, pop open reminders, it goes in there. And then I'm very proactive with deleting. Like I gave this little cognitive benefit to myself chemically by creating a system called what I call my point system. But it's basically I've made a cognitive release of happiness through feeling achieved in insignificant things. So I've taken, like, I wipe my ass, 1 point, boom. You know what I mean? Like, and so that's, I love cleaning. I love it because it's instantly gratifying. That plate's dirty, boom, that's perfectly clean. I can say that because I just scrubbed it for fucking 45 seconds.
Yes.
Like, done. And it's like, so that little hit, you can be proud of it and have a release of a chemical that makes you happy and, you know, increases stability and calmness and, you know, helps you overall. Because, you know, like you said, your gut is your, you know, however you said that, but like, that's very true. Your body and your brain are separate. They're not, you know, that's why the whole brain in the vat thing is plausible. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Quite literally, the only thing the brain needs from the body is nutrients that's created through the blood. So if you could get the same nutrients that reacted the same way, and you didn't need this giant environment, you know what I mean? There's more different species of bacteria and germs in our stomach than there are of things in the whole world. You know what I mean? Every human, you know, it's like, that's fucking insane. Like,
you're more other things than you are you.
You're not, well, you to say you're one thing is a joke. Like, you're a collection.
You're a collective.
You're a weird ass
but you think of yourself as being
together.
one thing. You ever hear that theory that like your brain is actually like separated, and that there's like a one half of your brain can't talk, but it can influence your thoughts, like because your mouth is being controlled by one half, and your brain, the rest of your, or not the rest of your body, but other abstract things are being controlled by the other half, and it's there talking to you, but it's not necessarily you, right? It's something else that's like influencing the way that you think. It isn't necessarily something that you could perceive from like a point of view of like something talking to you or showing you images. It would be more abstract than that. It's a really interesting idea that like, and I really like this idea that there's all these things inside of you that you're just not really listening to, like all these different bacteria and I mean your gut and your spinal cord and everything. All of that stuff is influencing the way you think, but you just think of it as all as being you. Do you ever read Flatland?
No, I don't think I have.
The second time I referenced Flatland. I love that book. So the story is about like a flat plane where all of our characters live, and of course they view everyone. They view everything one-dimensionally, so they see everything as like lines, basically. And there's a fog involved. They spend a lot of time talking about the technical details of how the Flatland works. But our main character, A Square, goes on a journey. He meets a sphere, who is, of course, three-dimensional. And the sphere takes him on a journey to all the different other dimensions to tell him about how things are. The book is it's supposed to be an introduction to the fourth dimension for people in like the 1800s, I think. But at one point, he visits the zeroth dimension, which is just a single point. And the zeroth dimension is everything. It's everything in it is just one thing, and there's no concept of multiplicity. So everything in it is it, and it thinks that everything that it hears or experiences is also it. So when A Squared tells it it's a stupid little dot and it doesn't understand anything, it says, why am I being so mean to myself? Why am I thinking these mean thoughts about myself? Because it doesn't have the concept of there being anything more than it. And I feel like we feel the same way. We're actually a bunch of different things influencing the way that we talk and think and the way that we interact with other people. But we think of ourselves as being one, when in fact, like we're made of a bunch of little things. And if you want to go in the other direction, we're one piece of a bigger puzzle too.
You want to know? You look like two famous actors I'm thinking of.
Oh God, I get this all the time. Tell me.
Do you really?
Yep.
The guy from Karate Kid, right?
Oh, shit. What's his name? I've never heard that one. Ralph.
No, you look
Macchiano.
like the eyebrows and the face. I was kind of doing like a blurry thing on your face where I stopped seeing what you look like and see like your silhouette. And dude, there's like 3 hits. You're a super generic, you know.
I get that a lot.
Like your hair, like even your hair, like is like it's super. You know what I mean? There's it's more than one too. There's a few dudes who I'm thinking like a young Dan Aykroyd. Like
Dan Aykroyd.
He's had messy hair before. I've also not
heard that one. Dan Aykroyd.
Like there's some movies he's been in. I gotta think what movie it's, but there's some young pictures of him.
A young picture of him. Sure. Okay. He's got the 5 head for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same group. My great grandmother used to say you have a nice forehead. Thanks, love it. But yeah, no, it's super trippy, man. And I look forward to the rest of my life because I'm the oldest and youngest I'll ever be right now, unless I get hit by a bus.
Yep.
And outside of impending asteroids, I'm looking for some real groundbreaking science in this category. And being that I've been studying it for so long, I don't need a fucking degree. This is something that I can eye to eye go. I can swing a baseball bat at thought for thought with someone because like,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing with neurology. I don't have a fucking PhD in neurology, but I have been studying so many aspects of the brain for years of my life. I've got my 10,000 hours in a few times. So like talking to a neurologist, I can talk to him, certainly not on the level maybe another neurologist does, but on a way higher level than Joseph. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like out of this world. And I don't know of any study that's sole metacognition because it's everything for me. Like my philosophy is in metacognition. My, you know what I mean? Even the things I don't like are in metacognition. And they're like I had said at the bar last night, I went clubbing. And it was insane. But sorry, I was laughing. I was trying to continue my story, and I was just thinking about the fact that so I wasn't going to do anything nefarious, but I was kind of being a wingman to my buddy, and so the whole night, you know what I mean, I'm dancing and we're having fun, and he's with a group of girls or whatever, and you know we're obviously both with a group of girls, and at the end of the night, I went to sleep by myself as I wanted to, like that was the operative thing, and you know everyone says that at the club, I wanted to go to bed by myself, you know, I'm being that guy, but like no, I intimately did, and so I passed out by myself, and my buddy had a threesome. And I was like,
Oh.
what a night. We went to a club, my first casino, and clubbing, my first time doing a bar crawl, hit 6 bars, had a full beer at all of them.
Wow.
A bunch
Sounds like a great
more.
night.
It's fucking insane. I'm so tired right now. The fact that I've got to be a dad today and do 2 podcasts is just mind numbing. But I'm mostly awake and I'm on my 700th coffee. So
That's all you need.
that's all I need. I'm like a 4-hour sleep guy. So like, you know, even
Really?
a bad night's sleep is like 2.5 hours, and I'll run the whole day on that, you know.
Do you ever hear about alternative sleep cycles?
I've been contemplating them for like a year.
Really?
I'm thinking about going like 3 hours of sleep or like fragmented. I came up with a schedule for week A and week B. Week B would repair energy from week 1, but week 1, dude, I could crank out so much more work than everyone else. Like I'm talking, I forget what it was. I think it was either 30 minutes of sleep every 6 or 45 minutes of sleep every 12.
Yeah.
But the key to that is to do work while getting restorative non-sleep. That's something I learned as when I was an insomniac. I used to not be able to sleep as a drug addict because chemicals, like I would do an 8 ball and want to sleep. Like, why can't I sleep? This is ridiculous, you know? So like, but I found a way to restore energy before I was aware it's a real thing. And I've now looked into, I know a lot about sleep, and, you know, cause it's part of the mind and it's really important. But there's actually, you know, your circadian rhythm, it's so generically built around consistency. Like it doesn't matter how much sleep or what type of sleep, or, you know what I mean? How much you need, like 20% a night of REM. Any less is bad, and any more than that's even worse. Like when you wake up and you feel like you're in a fog, that's REM sleep. You woke up in REM sleep, more or less, because, you know, they say that REM sleep doesn't kick in for like at least an hour and a half on most people when you start sleeping. So the best nap to take is less than 90 minutes. So you don't hit REM. And, which would make it hard if you're doing an alternative sleep cycle. That's why I think that if I did week A of never sleeping more than an hour, I might need to week B sleep less times, but for longer.
Sure. Well, that's the idea, is that you get rid of that first initial cycle and you only have a REM sleep. That's like, because the restorative sleep is only REM. So if you can cut out all the other stuff and just have REM, then you'll be you're like half the amount of time that you actually have to sleep a week. The problem is that you have to do it intermediately throughout the day and after your schedule. That's the thing that's like really scary about it, is like you have almost no flexibility. You know, if something happened and you had to be awake for a time when you were supposed to be asleep, what would you do? You'd be on your ass because you'd be so deprived.
Yeah, you would be dependent on the time. Like minutes are important, you know?
Exactly.
And I get that now because I'm working optional 12s at work. I work a 10-hour shift 5 days a week, but they're letting us do overtime and giving us a bonus for it and paying us even more. So I was like, fucking, how much can I work? 13, 14? Yeah. They're like, nope, 12 max. Gotcha, every day. How many days? Only 5? Okay, let's go. You know, I do 7 days in a row of fucking 12s. Take the next weekend off and do it again. Like, give me great money now. I want to be retired by 35. And don't get me wrong, I say that to everyone all the time, and they always scoff at me, especially like older generations.
No, I've heard of that, dude. I know a guy at work who's like, he's on his way, basically. Fire, isn't that what it's called? I
Fire?
forget what it's called. Yeah, it's like, it's an acronym. Maybe
Oh,
it's
is it really?
FYRE. No, that's the Fire Festival, obviously. Fire acronym
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
for financially independent, retire early.
Boom. Yeah, no, and like that's I'm gonna work harder than the average now. I'm gonna work harder than I do now for myself. Because I'm gonna be busy talking to people like you, like
Yeah.
Rogan does all day. It's gonna be the Richard experience. Like it's gonna be fucking podcasting, video gaming, parenting, music, and I don't even think I want to tour. I think I might go 5. I want to be the guy who, when I tour, there's like I'm being asked to. When I'm being
Sure.
asked to, I'll tour. And so I don't want to. I'm gonna skip I'm gonna skip the pre-REM sleep of the music industry. Fuck you. Like, I pulled the. I had a teacher in school once. I was about to go public with my music and start rapping, publicly. And a few years in, and Miss Magnuson, my language arts teacher, 9th grade, in detention, was reading Jay-Z's autobiography. And she knew I always had music in, and I was a troubled kid, and she always saw me, bouncing my head along. She said, you write music, you like music. Fast forward through 5 minutes of her understanding who I am. And she said, so you're not public? And, no. And she was like, well, that's interesting, because Jay-Z wasn't either. And I didn't know this, but Jay-Z didn't release Reasonable Doubt until he was 27 years old. And like, you don't need to give a line of credits to Jay-Z. Like, he's Jay-Z, he's the Jay-Z. You wouldn't be like, who? You shut up. You know what I mean? And so that's where I was like, wow, dude, like maybe I should wait, and to tell someone I'm a musician a billion times in my life and have nothing to show you but firsthand skill right now. It's like being a comedian being like, tell me a joke. And it's like, come on.
It doesn't work that way, man.
Yeah, no. And like, it's weird because like as an artist, we're very picky. Like I have to write by myself. Sometimes inspiration will come to me while I'm with you, but I'm not going to freestyle it and work on it in front of you. Like I will go by myself to my little cave, specifically this chair, or the main spot I make great music is my driver's seat.
Yeah.
I rap over the other songs I'm listening to. And I challenge myself to say the first half of the bar like they did and rhyme the second half that rhymes perfectly compound with what they said to get good with words. And so I'll rhyme half of their sentence and then half of me and then half of me and half of their sentence and then 2 bars of me and 2 bars of them and 2 bars of me and 2 bars of them. And honestly, I've tethered myself so tightly to the rhyme scheme of fucking Eminem, Lil Wayne, Futuristic, Hobson, like NF. Like I know rhyme schemes so fucking well. And it's like, I don't need to even tell you, I told you so. Because when I'm public, every single fucking song I do is good. I don't know if you ever seen any of like the Ill Minds from Hobson.
No.
Like,
no, I have seen those. I saw
those
like
really long
ago.
videos where he cues up, and writing something like that is incredibly hard. Like for someone learning how to do it, but like writing something like that to me is the pinnacle of music. You know what I mean? And like when you listen to something like that, I used to be caught up in like, oh my God, you said that, and it's like, bro, you got to be like, a character. You know what I mean? You are enacting being what you are not.
Exactly.
So don't be afraid to say what you don't really believe. Like you don't like. That's the crazy thing about music. You hear someone say, all these crazy like Stan. You know what I mean? People, the Eminem song.
Yeah.
Some people take it too far.
I my lollipop. I do it. I eat all.
You ate it all?
Yeah.
You want to sit with me for a minute?
No.
Okay. You gonna go watch TV?
No.
Okay. Do you want to take another bath in a little bit?
Do it.
Okay. Go sit down. I'll come out in a minute.
Let's take a bath.
Okay. But yeah, no, dude, life is just, I love it, man. And frankly, it's not disconcerting to me whether we're alone in the universe or whether a meteor is about to blow us up or whether, it's a simulation or whether aliens live in the ocean. Like, honestly, you know what I mean? Whether or not Trump will be the president for the rest of history. Like, there's so many things that just don't matter to me because it's like whether they're A or B, like I'm along for the ride, and I'm gonna, it's just, I love it, man. And my favorite thing I think is crossing subjects, like the fact that I study so many sciences that have to do with the brain. And if something didn't have to do with the brain, I frankly don't care. Part of Sherlock Holmes's mentality was that I don't need information that I don't need. Like other people, they know things. They don't think about what they know. They know what they know. They don't dictate it. fuck that, bro. I will straight up tell you what I know, how I know it, where I remember it from. What are you doing with the phone? Stop touching it. Thank you, but don't touch it, please. I don't even know how home phones work. I got one with Comcast. I have the phone. She's making the home receiver ring.
I was gonna ask you. You have a home phone?
They offered it in my package. They're like, you need a home phone. I went to Walmart. They're $30. Like the expensive one is $37. I was like,
because no one has one anymore.
Home phone at Walmart. Yeah, but
that's hilarious.
I don't even use it. I haven't even set the voicemail. No one's gonna call me. I've got tons of infomercial voicemails. Like it's really my backup. I think I'm gonna use it if I ever need to like leave a death message. Like I'm about to die. When you listen to this,
right. When they find you, they have like a recording of you.
Yeah, that'll be my 127 hours. You know
that's
what I mean? But no, dude, life it's super interesting, man. And I love talks like this. I love going into concepts like this, and the fact that it's like when I was a kid, it wasn't this ripe of a market for being able to, you know what I mean? And now
it's easier to connect with people than ever in history, you know, and like COVID has made that even more possible and made people more
no, don't do that. Please don't do that. No, they're fragile. You'll break them.
This is breaking. I beat that.
I can't blame them for liking them. I like them.
Yeah.
No, I got a YouTube consultation for like learning how to grow my big podcast. I mean, this podcast technically, but like the main part of it.
Yeah.
And he told me that my computer's too flashy and that like it's turning people off. I'm like, well, those viewers aren't gonna watch then.
Give me something to look at, you know?
Yeah, you know, this is here because I want it to be. People tell me all the time, why is your computer like that? And I was like, because my dad put it there. I just don't know how to move it. Like, what the fuck do you think is there? It's because I exactly want it there.
Yeah.
Like,
why put all that in there if you're not going to show it off? So.
Can it off? Did not attack a nest.
Yeah.
We taken off.
No, it's okay. I'll get you a drink in a second, okay?
No, not talking as they said. Did you listen?
You touch the top. All right, I'll let her play with the.
Okay.
Jesus, it's on a boom arm. She just pulled it all the way down. I'll get you a drink.
Red button.
Yeah, that's the button.
That's cool, actually. It lights up when it's on. Hi, Estelle. She can't hear me.
Oh, she's hilarious.
Yeah, man. I think the market is just ripening with this type of talk and behavior these days. You know, it's like long form is so much better than just the short little quick, you know. Like I love my hour podcast, but do you know anything about SEO?
Not really.
I mean, the most simple way to put it is like you can't market 1,000 things easy. Like that's just really the most simple way to, you know, like to be successful through advertising campaigns. The more I pay, the more I'll be reached. Super simple. But if I want to, you know, if I want someone to listen to this, it'll be a little easier considering we've been talking about like 7 words this whole time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Metaphysics, neurology,
Sure.
psychology.
Easy tags.
Yeah, those are all taggable. But when we're just bullshitting normally, like it's so hard because I'm trying to find this really cool happy medium for my show where I'm not going to cater my speech for people. But if I can just decide to niche the things I love and fragment them in a more proper way, like I don't want to have a fucking whatever the machine that reads you, a teleprompter, you know, man, that's the last thing. I'm not going to have a script. The only thing I've ever had up so far is like web pages open to talk about and share and look at, you know?
Yeah.
And, but outside of that, man, And it's really hard. Like, it's really hard to, I want it to be successful on its own, but you got to play the mainstream game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
You got to
so,
that's the thing, is you have to jump on that and then find your niche, and then work with that. It's interesting to hearing you talk about all this stuff, because I feel like I work in a very different way. I make lists of stuff so I don't have to think about everything. I have I guess I am doing some sort of memory palace type thing, but for the grocery store, I have what I do when it's like as I run out of stuff in my house, I'll write it down on the fridge, and then what I'll do is I'll take that list and then rearrange it in the order that it appears in the store, and then I'll walk through the store physically and pick out items in the order that they're on the list, so that I don't have to backtrack and everything. It's all designed so that I can be more efficient with it, and it takes more time. But it's it's amazing how much time you can save by being focused like that. And same thing for my podcast too. Like, I script out everything. I can't think through what I've watched or what I feel unless I've written about it, and then it coalesces around something, and it becomes something that I can actually speak about. It's so much harder for me to just kind of not necessarily just go off the cuff, but come into something brand new, a subject I've never heard of, and try to synthesize everything I'm talking about.
yeah,
I'm not a rapper, I'm much more of a what's it? I don't know. I'm much more of a novelist.
And so I respect that too, man. You recommended a book to me, and I'll recommend a book to you. The Timekeeper by Mitch Albom.
The Timekeeper.
He's a religious author, and so I'm just now poking into some of his other books, and it's so heavily religious it dirties my tongue. Not that I dislike religion, I just
inspirational fiction. Awesome.
Yeah, but no, that book, man, I've read it 3 times now. I bought the fucking audiobook. I'll listen to it again. Now that I've talked about it, I'll listen to it tomorrow at work, front to back. I work 12-hour shifts. That's a 4-hour audiobook.
Sweet. That's easy.
Yeah, no, dude, the conception, it runs along 3 storylines. So he coalesces the Tower of Babel, most of the early Bible, Adam and Eve, except it's 2 boys and a girl, and one boy turns out to be the guy who rules the city and builds the Tower of Babel to fight the gods, and that's Nim, I think is his name, or it's something simple like that. And then the other one is the Father Time. He creates time.
Cool.
He built the water clocks. He learned that if you draw a line in the sand every day with a girl at a tree, that the sun will always correspond to the shadow in the same spot. He built the first sundial. He built the first time, and then the story runs in a tripartite system almost. That word might be useless in describing that, but a 3-part system. So it reads from this girl's point of view, this old man's point of view, and then from Father Time's point of view. And rotates,
that's cool.
It'll never be 2 in a row, and it doesn't tell you which it'll go to, but it's super easy to understand. You're never who is it? In an audiobook, it's different, it's a different connotation or whatever. No, you just had a drink. Come on, take another one. Go watch TV for a minute. We'll take a bath in a little bit.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I love stories like that.
When I finished it, at least personally, I'm the guy who, if I watch it, I don't know if you ever saw the military guy's video on Facebook, the inspirational one about making your bed. You wake up in the morning and you make your bed, and that's the first thing you do.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, dude. It's been around on Facebook a lot, tons of millions of views. It's one of those, basically a grade A TED talk, but it's a military commander talking about how the very small things lead to the first thing you need to do every day is make your bed. And that leads to a whole lot. Rogan once said, "How you do anything is how you do everything," and I fucking love that, because if you're in the corner and you do some slimy shit, you better believe you're slimy. And if you lie to yourself about it, that's a dicey reality. I've personally had I feel like Tuesday is a midlife crisis for me, but I've every week, you know what I mean? Just every day is crisis. So when I hear someone else have a bad day, it's well, just, deal with it. I do. But I lost my tangent saying that, but my thought,
inspirational guy, or was before that?
Yeah, I might be gone forever, or until the minute you leave. But yeah, no, inspirational guy. Nonetheless, I get really caught up in I'll change so I got this neck tattoo in a 10-minute decision. Frank Gallagher from Shameless yelled this word to a girl in an apartment in an episode, the doctor he was hanging out with, and I had it tattooed an hour later. Like I'm, you know what I mean? I make life decisions in mere seconds, and I've never regretted it. I love it. I'm super happy with it. But that's because I accept my philosophy on like an intimate level. Like without my book of platitudes in my head, I would be murdering everyone we know. You know what I mean? Like I'm a very unstable person, so I've built terraces and bridges and suspension arms and anchors.
Yeah.
I was at one time an imperfect bridge that you could not cross, and now I get rocky if you remove a support or two, but in this metaphor, those supports are a bad day. Like you can have a bad day and still stand after. You have to rebuild the support.
Yeah, I really like this idea. Like I've been thinking about this a lot, about how your weaknesses can become strengths. Like how this is a really weird example, but like I'm really good at like catching things when I drop them, and that's because I've dropped a lot of shit. You know, over the course of my life, like I'm just clumsy, and I'll just have something will fall out of my hands, and I just eventually at some point it became second nature for me to try to catch things. The same thing with like organization. Like I feel like I'm pretty unorganized and like pretty spacey sometimes, but like having lists together, keeping things on track, and then like learning how to like work with that makes me so much more powerful as a person, because now like if I come into like a more difficult situation, I already know how to tackle it without having to deal with the fact that it's never been that problem before. The same way with people that are like really good at school sometimes fail later in life. You know, it's like people that like struggle through school or are mediocre at school end up being more successful because they learn that work ethic earlier on, and they learn how to like deal with that. And so that weakness that was first there eventually becomes something that you overcome, something that you can change. That's why Ten Chang thinks that we have free will. Actually, the science fiction writer, he thinks that because we can learn from our mistakes, we must have free will.
See, I inherently don't know about that. Free will is something I've almost never contemplated. I don't have loaded, but metaphors loaded up for that like I do everything else in metacognition. I was just listening to a Sam Harris on Lex Friedman's podcast the other day. He was recently on it again the last few weeks, and the whole show was about consciousness and aliens and the mind, and on the highest scientific level, we don't know if it's generated in the brain and received by us, or if it existed to begin with and we're just running off it. And it's like does it matter? You know what I mean? Does it really matter whether the water that hit your mouth was thrown or sipped? Like there's water in your mouth. You just play, like that's how you have to roll, because
absolutely, yeah, because there has to be accountability. That's the thing. If you believe there's no free will, then you believe no one's accountable for their actions, and that's just not how a society can be built. So you have to act as if it exists, even if maybe it doesn't.
But so changing the adjective, just to hear something from your point of view off the cuff. So society, yes, but what about morality? Like
morality,
to me, my morality is worth nothing. Like I've destroyed it. I don't have like my sense of right and wrong is aware. I'm aware of what you think. I'm aware of everything I could do within the expectation of violations that I could do to you as a stranger and be socially acceptable, like on an Impractical Jokers level. Like what's fucking too much, and what's not, and you can dance in the gray area a little bit. It's not binary, but it's pretty close. But in the sense of like my brain, at least, like I said, I have I truly call it psychosis. I have a like psychosis is the definition of no control, but I'm like advanced ADD metacognitively. You know what I mean? Like I've turned the screws on things that are deficits and I've cranked them up to be benefits. And I live in this false world. Now, it really feels like it because no one I ever have spoke to, I've never met a dude who's like, I got a memory map, bro. Because then I could ask him like, so how do you deal with the things that like just are not okay? You can store everything, right? Well, where do you store your dark shit? I have a real tangible place where my naughty shit is. Like, yeah. And that's scary. Like if, NF has a song called Mansion, you know what I mean? Where, I don't know if you ever heard it, but like anyone who has already knows what I'm talking about. Like I'll explain it for you, but like literally it's a song wrote like he hides from the demons in his head, like, his abusers and his problems indoors in a house. And it's basically a song about your mind being a mind house. And the door's shut, or it's like it's super laid out. First time I heard,
and he's trapped with his own thoughts.
Fucking yeah. I was like, this fucking guy, bro. And the song ends with something like, you know what I mean? I'd open the door, but I don't know if I'd ever get out, or something like that. He fucking kills it, dude. Out of this world. And like, that's the thing. He learned how to write the syllables. He's a smart, very hurt motherfucker. And he put that together. And it's like, pain is my second language. And I say that jokingly, but literally, dude, I understand that on a level that's so feasible, like emotional, physical, you know what I mean? The demonic and a non-religious, like naming the demons in your head, you know what I mean? The problems you have, deficits, you know, it's a lot more tangible to fight a demon with the sword in my head than it is to, you know what I mean? Have my neurons fight fucking other ones. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not watching two balls hit each other on a subatomic
No, it's more
level.
useful that way, especially for someone like you who sees things so visually. I think that's really it can be really powerful, I think. And it doesn't matter how you get there, right? It just matters that you get there.
I started being a musician as a foe. I would find underground rappers and copy their verses and then rap them to people and tell them they were mine. And it's the most hilarious thing, because without that, I didn't have the confidence through what I created idiosyncratically at 14 or 12 or 13. I hadn't been through enough. My frontal lobe wasn't made enough. Like I wasn't prepared enough. And now it's just much different, you know. Like I worry about my daughter, because at 15 I truly, like, I almost didn't make it, man. And like that's one of the reasons I'm a musician. I had like this epiphanous moment where I tried to kill myself, and like Lil Wayne playing in the background stopped me from ending it, like in a I'm gonna jump in the tub with a hairdryer way, like a legitimate gonzo way, like, you know. And yeah, so like that's why I'm a musician. I'm not a musician because I want money or fame. It's because I would be dead tomorrow without it. And for the first like year of being a father, it was really hard to wrap my head around being a dad, when if I spend too much time on her, I might kill myself. And it's like that do you understand that fucking equation? Like, I need to focus on you, who will die if I don't care for you. But if I care for you too much, let things lapse that shouldn't, and let those suspensions on my bridge walk away too much, she might grow up without a dad. And it's like, that's, you know, it's like, you know what, you know, you can't draw that line. Like, that map is not conceivable. And so it's, you know, I have stay tattooed on my hand right here, and I'm a stupid, you know, my tattoos have meanings, I'm a girl, you know, like. And so like my left hand is going to be all the principles I have that I've reformed that are different from when I was a kid. Like, you know, as a kid I was suicidal. As an adult, I embrace being not suicidal because I'm full frontally aware that I'm, you know, I'm comfortable in my misery. I didn't solve the misery. I just made a bed in it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot simpler, you know what I mean, to get comfortable in hell than to try to find your way out. So, and you know, that's part of the problem with me being a musician. You know, I wonder, you know, there's this line that they say in, you know, Blue Bloods, and they say it in Scrubs, and Elliot Reed in Scrubs says, you know, are you gonna be a doctor forever? It's like, well, I'm a doctor now. I'll be a doctor tomorrow, and probably next week, and maybe even next year. But will I do this forever? No, you know, I can't keep seeing people get hurt. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how I feel about music. Like, I want to make some of the best songs in the world to help people maybe not kill themselves, as if I was grandiose enough to be, you know, to empower someone enough to not do that.
But it's, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like you reaching out and saying, you're not alone. You're not the only person dealing with this, right? Yeah. Like it's there's more to it than just this. And I mean, that's what they say about suicide, is that it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, right? And if you can bridge that gap, then you could live for, you know, so much longer and experience so much more and do so much more wonderful things, and perhaps bring other people back from that edge. You know, I think that's a wonderful reason to do something like that.
Yeah. And the fact that, like, I need it, like, you know, I really like NF because you listen to him for 3 seconds and he'll tell you, like, without this, I'd be dead. You know, Futuristic, same way. And he has a song called Music Saved My Life. He has a fucking 4-minute intro where he talks about trying to kill himself. Lil Wayne has a song where he spits the entire verse of, I don't know if you ever heard the story, you know what I mean? Whatever, Uncle something saved my life or something. Lil Wayne was saved by a white cop while all his black friends, you know, not the race is important, but like in this situation, all of his friends were black and they were letting him die. He shot himself in the chest as a young teenager, like gun to the chest, bang. And as the cops were on the way, they were jumping around, moving drugs and guns. And a white cop walked inside and was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, kid dying. Why? Fuck the drugs. I don't care. Kid dying, you know. And the cop scooped Lil Wayne up and threw him in the back of a cop car and drove him to the hospital and stayed with him until he was good and awake and post-surgery. And like, still to this day, Lil Wayne's like, I don't fucking know what racism is. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I would be dead if, you know what I mean? Like, if racism exists like on a large level, then I'd be dead, you know? And he's like, well, you know, I don't know what racism is, but I know a good motherfucking name, Uncle Bob or something. It's like, dude, it's such a great story.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, it's so dicey, man. I love it. You know, I love being a musician. I definitely won't do it forever, but it's crazy that like I've never met another guy who's waited as long as I have to become public. Like, you know what I mean? An artist, you've drawn your whole life. You never post them in museums. So you're never surprised when you find out there's this hidden artist who just came out. It's like, yeah, he's been drawing his whole fucking life. You know, what do you think he's been doing? Like, you can tell what he's been doing. Look at his artwork, you know? And it's the same way with me. It's like, I don't plan to be grandiose and be like, oh, look at me, I'm flexing. I'm not going to have videos of me talking to money. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to have any of that stupid shit because it's just tropes. I'm going to hit the heartbreak tropes, and I'm going to be sometimes 8 syllables and sing like Juice WRLD. Sometimes I'm going to squeeze 16 to 18 to 22 in a line and hit it like Eminem does. And you know what I mean? You start getting to like 24, 25 ish, and you hit like Rap God. And it's just like, you know, you just can't, you're losing too much, you know, by it being so fast. It's impressive. Amazing. Good job.
Right. But like, it's just fast that he can move his lips. It's impressive he can move his lips that fast, not the words itself, right? You lose the meaning because people can't hear it.
Yeah, no, for sure. But as an artist, I can respect to write it because A, you had to master your breath enough to record it. And B, like he built every syllable. Like that's the thing people don't get. Like, you know what I mean? These musicians, that every musician is usually really good when they try, but they're even better when they don't. Like that's what makes a musician. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what I hope to be. I don't want to tour, but I want to be like, I'm a musician. They'll be like, really? And I'm like, yeah, check out this song. You know what I mean? But like on your own, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? And then afterwards, be like, bro, like that's fuck. You know what I mean? Like I can't wait to be, because I walk around work Mr. Happy. Like, you know what I mean? I've had a rough life, and I refuse to be unhappy. My grandmother always used to say, smiling's free. And that's how I feel. You know what I mean? What's up?
My leg,
your leg hurts?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I think I broke my legs.
I don't think you broke your legs.
Yeah, I stretched on my leg like this.
Dude, she's so much me. She's trying to show me that she hurt her leg by hitting the desk, so she like full on kicks the desk.
I saw the whole thing. I saw it all move.
I'm so super Italian. I can't explain things and show things without. Okay, Stout, we'll give you a bath. She's reaching her laps. We'll do another 10 minutes, and that'll be the 2-hour mark. All
right, sounds good. Yeah, well, I can't wait, dude. I want to hear I want to hear what you've made and stuff. It sounds like you're really talking it up. It sounds like it's really personal, and that's what makes it really impressive, I think. So yeah, I want to know. I guess I want to hear it. Don't wait till forever.
No,
the perfect is the enemy of the good. You know, like sometimes you just got to do it. That's like the thing. That's what we were doing for like
10 minutes.
Like our podcast too. Like we were at first, like we had no idea what we were doing. Obviously, like we were just recording shit on our phones and just kind of going through stuff. We had kind of an idea of what we wanted to talk about, but we like didn't have any sort of structure to it. And like over the course of like 3 years, we've like developed a really nice like structure that really helps us focus and like get to what we want to get to. And like we've improved like the way that we write and everything too, which is like made it more clear, more evocative, and like brought in all sorts of different things. And right now, the thing we're working on is like trying to make it really accessible to other people and to like guests, you know, to make it as easy as possible to become a guest in our podcast. Just like you can show up, you have your microphone, you're ready to go. You know, it's but it's a process. We wanted to make it like we want to make it, you know, something that's accessible to people, but also like fun to listen to and you know, full of good content. So it's that's the thing is like, it's always going to be a work in progress. It's never going to be perfect, but it gets better and better every time you try. And I mean, years and years of notebooks, I'm sure is proof of lots of that. But like, and putting in, you know, your 10,000 hours, but like.
No, that's pretty cool.
It's so satisfying. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like it's a loop that keeps feeding on itself, because as when you have something done, you have it there, it's physically there, like digitally there, I guess. It's so satisfying having it there, and you could go back and listen to it and think about what you were like at that point in your life, and what was important to you at that moment. That's so powerful to me, and having it out there is like it's a point of pride that I really appreciate.
Yeah, no, I feel that, man. I had to become a master at the 1% a day for everything.
Yeah.
Like 1% a day, because I used to be if I can't do 100%, I'm not going to do it. Fuck that. And like, it's not, there's no.
That's not how it works. Like you
that.
said, you don't start the middle of the staircase, man.
Dude, I'd use that analogy too much. I really do. Like I say that to everyone. I'm like,
I'm gonna use it now. It's pretty good.
I'll be at work and they'll be like, dude, I can't do this. And I'm like, well, what do you want, man? You just started on stair 6. You're like, when have you started the staircase on stair 6? And they'll be like, okay, yeah. And it's like, I'll say it differently to kids. I'll be like, you know what I mean? Go over there. No, I already gave you some. Yeah, no, I'll be like, you're on step 1 right now. Get off the table. I'll be like, you're on step 1 right now. How do you get to step 2? You go up. You know what I mean? Like, it's super simple. Don't think about it. But you can't do this right now. This is step 3 or 4.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like what you're saying is like you don't see the preparation, right? When you see somebody else who's achieved something, Jay-Z putting public at 27 or whatever, right? Well, you don't like to everyone else, Jay-Z just existed. But all of a sudden, but for him, he's always existed and he's been working on it for all this time and it finally came through. So like, that's the thing is like you can toil away in the shadows forever essentially, but like it's
wrapping up here now. If you see her at all, I'm gonna edit this. Estelle, can you go out in the living room? Go in the living room. Go out there. I'll put blurs in because I don't want child. She's 3, so that's like literally child porn. Not that you know what I mean. It's like a guy taking his shirt off at this age, But even still, Estelle, can you please go out there? Okay, go on the bed. Whatever. I'll block it all out. Sorry.
It's fine. You're fine.
But yeah, no, the 1% a day is super important, and when it comes to like music, I'm really happy at what I Estelle, just get up on the bed. Stop it. You're messing up my bed. Falling on the computer, grabbing my blankets and then jumping off the bed, holding on to them like a parachute. But yeah, so it's a work in progress, And as far as music goes, I'm never gonna struggle to hope people like it, because if you don't, then it's not intended for you.
Yeah.
It's like it's the metaphorical staircase to anxieties.
Yeah, for sure.
I was trying to think of an adjective for getting rid of something. Yeah. Rejection.
I'm blanking too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think it's a healthy perspective for sure. Blowing raspberries?
Yeah, she's blowing raspberries. But yeah, no, as far as that goes, I found a $700 mic that I think is really cool that I'm gonna get. The blankets are soundproofing. That's step A. It looked cool. And yeah, so I'm gonna be recording and either buying beats and actually recording like soon. I just started recording. Like I'm under 10 recordings so far, and every time I hate hearing myself, which is so hard. So I'm gonna have to get an audio guy who's really reliable, because like I only want to hear.
You just gotta get used to it, man. That's how everyone feels. You hate looking at yourself. You hate hearing yourself.
No, I mean it viscerally. I'm gonna go out of my way to make sure I never have to. Like I don't want to.
You'll get used to it. You get used to it.
Yeah,
I know it's tough.
Enough. Like the voice in here is the same fucking. It sounds just like I do. It's terrible.
Well, it sounds like how you think you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hate that disconnect too between what you really sound like and. Okay, can you just sit down right here? Thank you. But yeah, no, it was a great fucking talking to you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, we're gonna. I'll post this week, and yeah, I'll make it. I'll when I'm not dealing with her, I will reach out to you and get all your social links for your podcast and stuff. Perfect. I'll put them below the show. It'll be posted unlisted this week. So once it's uploaded, I'll give you a link to it in case you know what I mean, for any reason.
Yeah.
Showing anybody it or whatever. And then I'll have it chaptered and I'll have it uploaded by Friday.
Awesome. That sounds awesome.
Awesome.
Well, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. And yeah, no, I normally take my daughter on Saturdays, but this weekend was a 3-day weekend, so I took her today, so that way I would get a night yesterday and a night tomorrow. But for all intents and purposes, from here on out, if we ever record again, which would be fun to do, that I won't have her. So it's what I mean. This is the first time live that I've ever had to deal with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get it, man. It's totally fine. Stuff happens.
Yeah. No. Cool. Awesome. No, it was great talking to you, man. And I'll reach out.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you later.